Went and got his vaccines, spiked 104, 105 fever.
So what did he have? That he had MMR.
I actually have his records with me, with hot lots all over the place. I don't know if people are familiar with what hot lots are, but after his regression and decline, we went and looked up all his numbers, and of all of the vaccines that he received through 14 months of age, only 2 of them were not hot lots that he received, meaning every single vaccine that he got, children died, and the vaccine was not recalled and was continued to be given.
All right, here we go.
Wow, are you all same family?
Yes.
Oh, we've got to turn the air conditioning off.
Yeah.
This, yes.
Okay, who's in charge here? You.
No, she's not.
Do you want to tell them what your name is, since this is your story?
I'm Levi.
Really? How old are you, Levi?
15.
15. You're tall for 15. That's a good thing. And you are?
I'm Mom. And Levi is vaccine damaged.
And who are the others?
These are his
Brooklyn,
unvaccinated
Jasmine,
siblings.
and Dad.
And Dad. Alright, okay, let's hear your story.
Do you know your story? Mm-hmm. Do you want Mom to tell your story?
Yeah.
Levi was healthy up to 6 months of age and had his 6-month vaccines. I'm going to cry.
You're okay.
Had
You're
his
okay.
6-month vaccines and had a reaction that actually landed him in the emergency room and gave him RSV type symptoms for 8 months, all kinds of breathing problems, UTIs, upper respiratory infections, ear infections.
Just like 6 months.
Every month we'd have an infection. We'd go on antibiotics for 2 weeks. It would clear, we'd hold about a week, and we'd have another infection, and we did this for 8 months. And while he was still ill, the nurse at the facility convinced me that the best thing to do was to give him his 12-month vaccines, because that would strengthen his immune system that wasn't functioning. He was 12 months.
He was 12 months.
We had him developmentally tested 2 weeks before his MMR to see where he was, because we were part of a program called Parents as Teachers. And he actually bypassed the 12-month milestones and passed the 18-month milestones, coming out at 18 months development at 2 weeks before 12 months. I actually have his developmental milestone check-off sheet that his person had done, and you can see all of his stuff was checked off. He demonstrated those things to somebody.
And what age was that?
This one is from his 8 months. I tried to find the one that we have done 2 weeks before, and they couldn't find. His records have been destroyed at this point because they're 10 years out, but I found a couple of the copies, and then I found his 15-month one, which was after, but they did one 2 weeks after, and he had the development of a 2 to 4 month old with a documented 14 to 16 months development that we lost in gains. He started seizing and vomiting and diarrhea. They've got records of 102, 103, 104, even up to 104.5 fevers. Following his shots, they've got records 6 days after his shots, showing him unable to breathe. Shortly after that, we had to go and have hearing testing done because he lost his hearing.
Can you explain to these people, some people asking, what hot lots are?
Hot lots are where you can take, I'll give an actual example from my son's record, where they give you the company name, the lot numbers. This is SKB. And you can go and look up those numbers, and there will be reports for children who have died, children who had breathing problems, any of the stuff for VARs that are side effects or damages to children. And so when I went and looked these up, there were 2 and 3 children who had died from each lot. And I'm not talking about, so for example, here were 4 of his vaccines. His Prevnar, his, I'm trying to read upside down, his Convax, his DTaP. Each one of these had 2 and 3 children who died within 24 to 48 hours of
And where are
those
you
vaccines.
looking those up, when you say?
I'm looking those up. You can look them up on VAR's website and see if other people have filed. And to me, informed consent allows me the opportunity to look at that before injecting my child, to give informed consent. And I think that's a big piece that's missing in the discussion is, your doctor can give you the manufacturer's name and the lot number before injecting your child to know how much risk you're taking on for your kids. Levi actually got measles from his MMR. Broke out head to toe for 2 weeks. Had to bring 4 doctors in to actually diagnose him because the pediatrician we had.
How old was he when he got measles?
We were doing Dr. McCandless vitamin A protocol. He was part of her study with the saliva and blood titers for children who had gotten autism and following their MMR. And she was studying the titers and how significantly high they were in the blood, showing an overreaction immune system wise. And so we were part of that study, and while in that study he broke out in head to toe. I want to say he was 3 at the time, and so 4 doctors came in to diagnose him with measles that his body was finally able to address.
And what did they say when you said he's had the MMR? Why has he got measles?
They didn't say anything. Our doctor had delivered our son. He was his first delivery. When we approached him of, okay, my kid was talking and saying 3-word sentences before MMR, and now has lost all his language and didn't speak for 2 years. He's like, well, you know, he's a boy, it's your first child, maybe he wasn't really speaking. I'm like, we have videotape of him talking and saying 3-word sentences, and now we have nothing. And went to a developmental, was it neurologist? A neurologist that did his evaluation and confirmed the autism, and we went back to the doctor and actually profusely apologized. He asked the hospital to do his allergy shots, to do secretin shots with him. He had 7 years of chronic diarrhea that followed. We saw the best doctors out there. We saw Bowie in Boston. We saw Dr. Corson. No one could figure out what was going on with him until we stumbled on Lyme treatment and doing antibiotics daily, and then we had our trophy poop. After 7 years following MMR, it took 7 years to get to where he could digest food and absorb nutrition, thanks to the MMR.
So, how are you feeling?
Rather great, actually.
Good. You look rather great.
You're doing good for a kid they said wouldn't talk or walk again, huh?
And so, what are the things you like to do best?
You're very musically talented.
That is true.
You like music?
And video games.
And collecting amiibos.
Collecting meatballs.
Amiibos.
Oh, amiibos.
Like Mario characters. And
Got it.
Pokemon characters that they came up with too.
Sounds
We're
like
at sessions.
Now, how old did you say you are?
12.
You're 12. And so, do these two have?
They are unvaccinated. We got smarter second time around and actually asked our immunologist to allergy test them before looking at doing anything. We have since found out that he was anaphylactic to eggs, allergic to peanuts, milk, beef, pork, all things that are ingredients in vaccines that we would have made a different choice had we known. He's also CVID, which is common variable immune deficiency disorder. So he shouldn't have been given vaccines in the first place, given his immune status. We found out Brooklyn was triple immune deficient before vaccinating, which makes me ever so grateful that we tested and had the knowledge to do testing before vaccinating, because she would have been severely affected between the allergies and the immune deficiency disorders.
Do they put you under pressure at school to have vaccines? And your friends all being, because you're about the guard school age.
I know some of my friends at school get like the flu shot. I don't know if they get the vaccines.
But you're okay, you're not pressurized.
No. You have medical exemption. His chart actually says toxic encephalitis in 5 places, along with the ER record saying vaccine-induced or reactions to vaccine in his ER charts. We've been in vaccine court for 13 years. We filed in 2003. We were part of the original Osbuzman case and have kept it alive. Dr. Desher just testified for his case a couple months ago, I believe it was, and we should have a verdict in the next couple months. But 13 years we've been waiting for justice for the damages to Levi and his childhood that was stolen, and the 2 years of silence and not being able to communicate. that he lost and learning sign language.
How do you feel as dad about what happened to your boy?
It was very, very hard. I mean, you have so many dreams and expectations of having your first child, and coming into it, and you just see him disappear. Basically, was what it felt like. Is what we were seeing, and the personality they developed was all gone. And it took us years to see any of it back. We remember celebrating like every word that he would say and everything that he would improve on him. I think he was 6 years old before he actually recognized what a joke was, and he laughed. And it's something so ridiculous that most people just don't even think about. But years of not having your child really get humor, and then all of a sudden something clicked, and
We did HBOT. That's what brought it on. We did 2 rounds of HBOT.
To hear him laugh and experience humor, and now he tells some of the stupid jokes I do. With fun,
Some of them don't make sense, though.
You're a smart guy.
So just the fight of getting it all back has been, celebrations at the moment, but it's also depressing sometimes when you realize that this shouldn't have happened to him.
You were just saying how you got to do baseball with him for the first time this summer, where he could throw a baseball and catch something with a mitt, and he was just in tears because he's like, this is the stuff I dreamed of when he was little that we lost.
It takes years to get back sometimes, but
He can catch a football pretty good.
he's doing really good. And him and I are on the worship team together. He plays drums and I play guitar, and we have fun doing music together. And our church has been wonderful to allow a 15-year-old child with autism get up on drums in the middle of a worship service to play. And
what church you at?
Cedar Point Church in Maryville.
A lot of special needs kids. We actually have 3 vaccine-damaged autistic children in our Kids and Youth program. So we have, our pastor is very aware of vaccines and the damages, and Chad's a pastor and I've been a pastor.
Have you shown them the film?
Yes, we're very proactive as a Christian, obviously, and as pastors, we don't believe that aborted fetus tissue should be used. They're not spare parts. Babies are not spare parts to grow medicine on or inject into other people, and it's not valuing life. And as Christians, we should value life, and it should be more vocalized.
Yeah, well, thank your church very much for the work they did, and thank you guys.
Thank you guys for doing what you're doing.
Have you signed the bus?
You've actually put his name up on the bus and
did?
posted it on Facebook for us.
What number was that?
2035, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And you sent me the picture on Facebook. So
good.
it's like looking at a memorial gravesite for all these kids, their futures that were taken. Thank you for saying thanks, buddy.
It's true.
So nobody else is acknowledging it. When you fight for 13 years for the damages to be recognized, and it takes a documentary to come out and say my friend just signed, she was 3,625 3,625 was her kid's number, to know that there's 3,600 families out there with the same story, and our government's just ignoring it. If 3,600 people went to Disney and came down with measles, they would be saying it's because they went to Disney, you know what I mean? And are quick to blame this and that, and it's just unfathomable to me that it's not recognized, the connection, when there's that many people with the same story.
Well, we're going to keep going until it takes whatever it takes.
Yes, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate what
we
praying
appreciate
William
you.
Thompson will come forward and share what he knows, because he can make a difference. If you're out there listening, you can make a difference, because our kids' lives matter.
Yeah, they certainly do.
Yep.
I'm doing a report on it.
You're doing a report on William Thompson, aren't you?
At school?
Yep.
We have to do a report on scientists, and I'm like,
And what they've
I barely know any
contributed.
scientists except for this one. And my mom watched a documentary about him, so I'll do it.
Okay, good luck with that one. Right, well, whatever mark they give you, we will remark it ourselves. That's the team, okay? Remember that.
It takes lots of research. Still not done with it.
Yeah, we need to have you sit down and
I'm
watch
done with my report.
watch it so you protect your babies. Right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. We appreciate it. It was very humbling to see all those
Are
babies.
you not very well either at the moment?
I have chronic Lyme disease, and I actually had an MMR reaction when I was in high school, believe it or not. I would be driving down the road and would wake up and not remember the last 2 miles and pass out. I had severe hypoglycemia following.
At what age
For
did you have the
many years.
MMR?
I had to have it in high school. I was an exchange student in Germany, and so I was required to get it, and I have a needle phobia. And they pinched to do it and went in one side and went out the other, and they had to give me a second one. And so
Ew.
Yeah,
I had too
needles,
much exposure, I think, and so I had all kinds of medical problems following that.
So you're in a wheelchair a lot?
I am in an electric wheelchair. Yep.
It's tough when you're old.
Yeah, it's
she
tough when
lost
you've
her
got.
disability because of a car accident.
No, that's not why I'm disabled. No.
Yeah, that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. You remember that well,
Yes.
though. That's when you had your H-bot.
Actually, no, that was 7 years ago because I remember I was 5. It's like the only memory from 5 years old that I can remember.
Yeah, dial it down, Jess.
You guys are a great family, and everyone here loves you guys lots. So you've got lots of hearts and love. You need to sign the bus as well, then.
Probably.
Definitely. Vaccine injury is a vaccine injury.
Yep.
Oh,
Well, I'm going to sign out, and thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd be interested to see all your meatballs. I mean your
Amiibos.
amoeba.
Can't believe you didn't bring one with you.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
interesting.
Really should have brought one.
No, you really shouldn't.
You didn't say hi to all the girls out there, Levi. You said you were going to say hi to all the girls.
Levi, go and say hi to all the girls.
Hey.
You go down.
Nice job. Thank you for telling your story.